What's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Your driver Mike here, back with another live stream. And this time we should have the correct dongle for this Rode SmartLav Plus. So hopefully the sound is even better than the video from yesterday. I want to welcome you to another live stream. We got a lot to talk about today. I hope you had an awesome weekend. Hope your Sunday is going well. Today we're talking about how I got $20 in tips just yesterday, and we did that in only 10 runs. So that's like a what? Well, it was two tips. It was two $10 tips. That's a 20% conversion, okay? What did I do to get $20 in tips, two $10 tips, mind you? And we need to answer the question from the last live stream. Was it all luck, or did I do something specific that you could do to get more tips? We're also talking about, should you ask for 5 stars or tips, including having headrest signage, tip signs. And we're also talking about what to do with items left behind in your Uber or Lyft car. If you are just joining the live stream here, or if you're just checking out the channel, I want to welcome you. This channel is dedicated to the rideshare space. So whether you're a driver, if you're a passenger, if you're someone just interested in the rideshare space, consider subscribing. So we'll give it just a minute here. Wait for some people to join. We did pretty good yesterday, guys. And I hope the sound is coming through okay. Let me know in a comment. Again, we have a hopefully the correct dongle to work with the Rode microphone here. So last night, per usual, we're doing our weekend bar rush driving, but as you may have seen in the airport stream, we did do an airport run as well, okay? And let's talk about those airport runs. That's where I got my first tip. And this is interesting because, again, guys, I practice what I preach. The airport run was a result of customer service and providing good conversation and a good experience, right? So what we did, also strategy, because it was a 150% prime time on Lyft. So we always want to be strategic, okay? You have to know how long that run's going to be. If you're taking really any run, you know, if it's going to go to the airport, it's going to be 35 minutes or so. So you want to do those 35 minutes and get the most per hour, right? So 2.5, 150% boost was perfect. And I checked that live stream out if you guys haven't seen that yet. We talk a little bit about airport runs, strategies, regulations, and things to expect when dropping off at airports. So our passenger was going to the airport, and again, guys, good customer service, good ride experience, good conversation, and being able to adapt. It's not just customer service. There's nuances to customer service, behavioral cues, nonverbal, verbal cues that you need to be aware of so you can adapt your customer service, because if you try to do a one-size-fits-all customer service strategy, it's not going to work, okay? And talking about customer service, guys, is myself being in customer service, a lot of it has to do with swallowing your pride and the ego, okay? Now, maybe there's a stigma of customer service or customer service reps in general of being kind of a doormat, of being the, person that everyone goes to events and kind of, let their anger out. Not necessarily, okay? You can definitely be firm. And I mention having that kind of a strategy, being firm with passengers when they, let's say, try to bring in alcohol, okay? Or try to fit more people in the car, more than 4, let's say. But for being adaptive, all right, what we did here was I had a passenger, a couple that was coming towards the car. And again, like I mentioned in that first airport stream, I wasn't really planning on driving, okay? And that goes along with the ABC, always be checking. I happened to be available, had some free time, so I took the run, okay? One thing, however, was that since it was so impromptu, it was just so spur of the moment that my trunk had some stuff in it, cleaning supplies, right? So from that initial starting point, I was adaptive, okay? You want to be accommodating, all right? You want to make it about their experience. So when I saw them come into the car, they had one large duffel and two smaller bags. But I had a bin of cleaning supplies and my work laptop in the back trunk. So don't do that. And I mentioned that when we were at the airport, don't do that. But we were so fast that I didn't even really think about it. But what I did is kind of make light of it if you can. You know, make the experience not so bad, make it seem like it's not an issue, okay? Now, this is within reason. If they had, you know, massive pieces of luggage, I wouldn't be able to accommodate that. But I saw it was going to work, so I said, oh, you know, that's what I get for moving, because we're in the process of moving right now, and I had some stuff back there. So you don't want to make it an uncomfortable, you know, situation for anybody. But we were able to fit the luggage in there no problem, and it was just the one passenger that ended up going to the airport. So here's where we were especially adaptive, all right? First, what I say, if you're unsure of how to start the greeting, as I make sure this person doesn't turn into us right now. If you're unsure how to start a greeting with a passenger, don't even worry about, you know, age cohort, area of the city or whatever, you know, oh, okay, this person is in the arts section, maybe I should talk to them this way. You know, don't overthink customer service, all right? Put the ball in their court. Whenever they get in, obviously, you're just going to say, oh, hey, how's it going? How's your day so far? How's your night so far? Or if they're obviously coming from a big event, how was the concert? How was the game? Doing that will put the ball in their court, and they can set the mood for us instead of me trying to control the conversation. So from that first question, I can judge if they want to talk, all right? Because if they don't want to talk, they don't need to talk. We're just gonna let some pedestrians go here. Yeah, remember that, guys. If they don't want to talk to you, that is okay. Now, I know a lot of us would say, all right, well, if they sit in the front seat and they don't want to talk to us, that's kind of awkward. And I agree, it is awkward, but rarely do they do that, I feel. So that first question, hey, how's your day going? How's your night going? Good day so far? Those are the leading questions that I will start with. Always start with those easy leading questions and go from that. So we started having good, you know, small talk conversation about food, restaurants. She was traveling internationally, yeah, to Colombia. So again, make it about them. It's not about you. It's their ride, okay? I had another group that I touched briefly on later in the night. They were Hispanic, and I have family in the San Antonio, Texas area. And this is live, man. Sydney Savory, am I saying that right? This is live. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, we've been doing a good amount of live streams on the channel because I honestly like talking to you guys. Switzerland. Oh, man. Switzerland. That is awesome. Welcome to this live stream. We have a viewer from Switzerland. That is awesome. A little heads up, guys. Speaking internationally, when I look at my YouTube analytics, because they give us some data on audience demographics, 92% is from the United States. You know, we talk about taxes in the U.S. briefly. We talk about U.S. promotions. So, you know, obviously I'm broadcasting from the U.S., so that's probably why there's a lot of pull from there. Next, we have about 3% from Canada, and we have, you know, the rest kind of dispersed amongst the globe, really. And that's really cool. I really appreciate you joining, watching from Switzerland. I wonder what time is it there if you're still on the live stream. It's 4:19 p.m. here, East Coast time, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States. So we were talking about being adaptive with our passengers, letting them set the tone, starting with leading questions that they can frame, and being adaptive. 10 p.m. 10:20 p.m. Is that what I'm seeing? 10 p.m. Very cool. Very cool. So, are you a driver, passenger, just someone interested in the rideshare space? Awesome. So, starting with those leading questions, let them frame the conversation. Example, okay? Trial by learning, okay? I read a ton about the rideshare space, guys, daily, articles, forums, okay? But I'm doing this, you know? I am continually learning by doing, and you have to do that. You know, I'm out here driving. Now, we're not driving right now, heads up. I'm running some errands right now. But you have to learn by doing as well, because if I was just reading articles and boards and looking at the app, but I didn't actually drive, I wouldn't know how things change in real time on the Uber platform. Short tangent here, guys. I don't know if you can hear, but it's raining here in Pittsburgh, which we get a ton of. I did a full, awesome, really, really fun exterior tour of my Dodge Caliber that I use on the Uber and Lyft platform. We had really, really good traction on the interior tour on how I set up my car for driving. I finally got around to doing an exterior tour. I'll be editing that tonight. I should be uploading that tonight, and I expect to get a ton of traction on that as well. Look for that on the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing, because that's going to be a big video. And I mentioned the rain because we did basically a full detail on the car, and that's why I don't wash this car. I don't wash this car more than needed because it rains every third day, it seems, here in Pittsburgh. I believe we have the most rain next to Seattle, I believe. But look for that video. My wonderful tire shine and detailing work is now getting washed off in the Pittsburgh rain. So I appreciate you guys joining the live stream. Let's continue to talk about customer service and how to get tips. All right. Let them frame the conversation. Start with leading questions, and next, adapt. Okay. How did I adapt to this passenger? Listen. Okay. A lot of this, some of this may seem like common sense, but because it does seem like common sense, a lot of the times it gets forgotten, okay, or just simply overlooked. You know, I'm sure I've done it too, right? This is a reminder or a new learning for anyone who hasn't sat down and really thought about customer service. Listen, all right? You want to be empathetic to anything negative that's going on with your passenger, or you want to be genuine and hopefully excited when something exciting is happening for your passenger. Again, she was going to Colombia, all right, international flight, and you want to touch on certain points in their conversation that you can genuinely relate to. Don't fake it, all right? If you're not interested in sewing and they're talking to you about sewing, don't say you love sewing. You can, but you're not gonna like that conversation because you know you're not really interested in it. And unless you're a really good conversationalist and it can make it seem genuine, it's gonna maybe seem a little fake, all right? They're gonna pick up on that. They're gonna be like, oh, this guy's just like, you know, come on, what's he doing here? He doesn't even really like this, I can tell. And that may get you downrated, all right? Ratings, we've talked about that in other videos. As long as you're above 4.6, you should be okay, but you do wanna avoid getting downrated if at all possible. Makes your life easier. So being adaptive in customer service, in conversations with your passenger, what are you going to do? All right. She was saying, I'm going to Colombia. I like to get to the airport earlier just to be safe because you never know what's going to happen at the airport. Be empathetic and relate to that, because I've done the same exact thing and say that. And when you relate to something that you really believe in, it's going to come through, all right? If you're excited, it's going to make them more excited, okay? Yeah, I just said, I do the same thing too. It's a good idea because you never know. One time I went down there and the security line was 40 minutes. It was crazy. And it's a lot easier traveling when you know you have plenty of time versus sweating buckets in line knowing that your takeoff is in 15 minutes, okay? Next, we talked about food because she just came to the States, I'm going to say somewhat recently from what I remember. But a point about the discussion about food is not just about food, it was strategic. Because you guys probably know, it's a good idea to avoid hot button issues, all right? Don't even touch them, and I've discussed that in my video about dealing with negative passengers, all right? Avoid any of those hot button issues, it's just a lot easier, you know? But also, have a grab bag of subjects that you are ready to pull from, because nothing is more awkward than having that conversation with somebody and then it just flatlines because you really can't think of anything to add, you know, or contribute that's new, and it gets awkward really fast. So to avoid that, have a grab bag of topics to talk about. Obviously the weather, that's only gonna get you so far. It's only gonna buy you like 5 minutes. Talk about food. Guys, we talked about food, simply just food, for probably 20 minutes of that 40-minute ride. All right, who doesn't like talking about food? Who doesn't enjoy a good restaurant, whatever it may be? And again, let them frame it. I asked her, have you found any favorite restaurants while you're here in Pittsburgh? And she will frame that conversation. And she'll say, you know, I haven't had a chance to check out any places, but I've been looking for some great sushi places. Or she'll say, you know what? My husband and I just tried this great steakhouse. Have you ever been there? And go off of that. So find points that you guys can relate to, something that you're interested in, and touch on that. So guys, customer service, listening, being empathetic, being adaptive when you need to be, that's what got me the tip on this one. Additionally, what I did, as we talked about in that airport video, is I helped with luggage. Okay, we have no idea why she tipped necessarily, and that goes into our discussion of, you know, how much of this is luck, right? There's definitely luck involved, but helping with luggage if you can. I don't want you to try to help with luggage if you're, you know, physically unable to for whatever reason. You shouldn't have to feel pressured, okay? But if you would like to, and if you can, it doesn't hurt. That's gonna take you, you know, 15 seconds. It'll let you load the luggage how you would like to avoid any damage to your, you know, actual body of the car, you know, people slamming it in there. So if you can help, I think it's, you know, beneficial. So that ride, I got a $10 tip. All right, and again, maybe this passenger always tips. Maybe she has a flat $10 tip for every airport run she takes. Who knows? But this was a 2.5 ride plus a $10 tip. We got about $77 on that run. It was a really, really good run. If you are just joining the live stream, I want to say hello. Your driver Mike here. This channel is dedicated to the rideshare space. If you're a driver, if you're a passenger, or if you're just someone interested in the rideshare space, consider subscribing. We have a good community here, a community that is growing by probably about 150 people a month. Sometimes we got like 20 people subscribing a day. We're really growing quickly, and I really appreciate that. Everyone that's subscribed, that's liked the videos, that's watched the videos, I appreciate you joining the live stream right now, or if you're watching in the rebroadcast. I have been driving part-time Uber and Lyft for 1.5 years, over 2,000 rides, and it's not just me, guys. It is not just me. The reason I do live streams and why we're doing almost daily live streams is because I like talking to you. I like bouncing ideas, thoughts, strategies off of you guys. There have been some great comments in these videos that I have learned strategies from. I have learned nuances of the Uber and Lyft app. All right, I am absolutely an expert in the Uber and Lyft platform and strategies, but there's always things to learn, and I appreciate you guys commenting and joining because it helps everybody. So let's move on, guys. Let's just reference these notes real quick here. Okay, interesting subject to talk about right now as we merge onto the parkway. So I'll give you 1 second here. Safety first, guys. All right. The next subject we were going to talk about is if you should ask for 5 stars or a tip. Should you have headrest signage asking for 5 stars? Should you verbally ask at the conclusion of the ride? Should you show the passenger that you're rating them 5 stars and then ask if they could rate you 5 stars? Should you have hanging tip signs? Let's talk about all of this. And I think I missed a comment here. Let's see. Sydney, talking about tips in Switzerland. Again, I really appreciate you joining the live stream all the way from Switzerland, 10 p.m. at night over there. That is awesome. I really appreciate you joining. Excuse me. What Sydney was mentioning, guys, is that tips are not really the norm culturally over there. So you have to work within the system, all right? You're not going to change any of those norms by more customer service, helping with luggage. If it's not the cultural norm in your market, it's not going to change, guys. It's not. If you have some expats, if you have some tourists that are more used to tipping, then you may see some more tips. So if tipping is not the norm in your market, what can you do to offset that? Firstly, forget about tips, okay? If it's not the norm, forget about tips. It's not gonna happen. Don't expect tips. And if you guys are in markets where tipping is not the norm, I'm sure you guys know that. You're like, oh yeah, I don't even think about getting tips because we don't really tip here, okay? What you're gonna have to do is do that research. Look at the demand trends, ABC, always be checking your app to maximize the surge or prime time runs because you're not gonna get any supplemental income from tips. That's my opinion. If you can't expect tips, you're gonna have to find some earnings elsewhere. Speaking of earnings, let's talk about if you should ask for tips or for 5 stars. Now, this is all my opinion, guys. A lot of this is kind of open-ended. You can experiment with the different strategies. And I've told you guys, I don't have tip signage. I never have. So maybe if I did, we could experiment and see if my tips fluctuate that way. This is just my experience, guys. And the reason we do this is to have a dialogue, to hear other opinions as well. My opinion, I don't think you should ask for either tips or a 5-star rating. And here's why. The Uber platform, oh wow. Oh no. Guys, do you know those sport cars that are like a tricycle? They have 3 wheels, 2 wheels in the back, 1 wheel in the front, and they're real sporty looking. We just had one stopped under the bridge here on the parkway because it is pouring rain. Oh, I feel so bad. It's like they're getting crushed with rain right now. It's a convertible. It's one of those three-wheel cars. Pittsburgh, guys, we get a ton of rain. I tell you, a ton of rain. So, I don't feel like you should ask for 5 stars or tips. It's about the passenger experience, all right? You want to minimize, just like having those grab bag of questions, you want to minimize any periods of awkwardness, all right? You want to minimize any periods of the passenger feeling uncomfortable, all right? That may be by you, that's a tongue twister. That may be by you asking a pointed question or something that is a little bit too personal, even though you didn't realize it. That may be by bad customer service, all right? You have a dirty car, things are all over the place. The front here, the dash, there's stuff all over the place. You got things clipped all over, all these accessories. That could decrease a passenger's experience. And again, this is just my opinion, guys, but asking for 5 stars after the ride leaves yourself open for that period of them feeling uncomfortable or awkward. Example, in just 1 second. Example. You can have certain calls to action, but I would not ask for a call to action to rate them 5 stars. Example, on this channel, I asked you guys to subscribe. I asked you guys to leave likes if you get value from the live stream and the videos here. By the way, leave a like if you got value from these live streams. But that is conversational enough. That's pretty simple. An example for driving would be, oh, hey, your door isn't quite closed all the way. Can you just close it again? Or let's see, eating food. Hey, do you mind if you take a napkin if you're gonna carry that, pizza in here? I had a guy with an entire pizza box that he put in the back seat here, and I told him, hey, do you mind if you put that on your lap? I had a guy do that and it left a big grease stain. You're framing that because you want him to help you out because it damaged your car. He's gonna think, oh, well, yeah, I don't wanna damage this guy's car. I could get a cleaning fee. I don't wanna do that. I better put this pizza on my lap. But when you ask for 5 stars, just my opinion, it comes across as maybe not necessarily pushy, but it comes across as a little pleading, okay? It comes across as, hey, I really need this 5-star rating. If you could please rate me 5 stars. Now, it'd be interesting to see if anyone does this frequently. Let me know what your driver rating is, how many rides you've done, what market you're in, and we can compare. Okay, the general consensus that I've seen from drivers, however, is that you really shouldn't ask for 5 stars. But let's talk about tipping. Let's talk about signage because that's a little different from what I've seen. Asking for tips. Verbally, no. I would not ask for tips either, even more so than the 5 stars. That seems like even more pleading and more pointed, more pressure. When you ask, hey, can you give me a tip? You are actually allowed to give me a tip. Can you give me a tip? That is almost saying like, hey, you have to give me a tip. You really should give me a tip. Everyone else gives me a tip. And that really puts passengers on a spot, and chances are they're gonna feel flustered and awkward, and they're probably just gonna end up saying, oh, hey, I don't have any cash on me anyway. Okay, then it's, especially if the ride's not quite over yet, and then you have that awkward kind of ending moment, right? Let's talk about non-verbal asking for tips. Okay, tip signage. Headrest covers that ask for 5 stars or tips. In my opinion, you shouldn't have it. Okay, here's where I'm a little bit more flexible, and I see you guys left some more likes on this. I really appreciate that. What that does is showing that you guys get value from these live streams. If you haven't already, leave a like, post a comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. Again, it shows me you guys are getting value, that you are enjoying these live streams. And by the way, if you guys are looking for the traditional style video where I upload more of an educational tutorial, we are posting those. We are gonna post more of those. Thank you, I see another like. I really appreciate that, guys. Also boosts us in YouTube's algorithm, boosts us higher in their search ranking, gets more people in here, gets more people on the Your Driver team. So we were talking about, I'm blanking here. I know we were talking about the tip signage. I think there was something else though. Liking and comment, I don't know. I forget because now I'm thinking about the signage. Okay, let's just continue with the signage. The thing with the signage is, as you saw in the, another like, that's awesome, guys. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I love doing these live streams for you. Oh yeah, we were talking about the traditional videos. We are gonna be uploading those. So look out for that tonight. We're gonna upload a traditional style video. But the tip signage, like we had in the interior tour of the Dodge Caliber here, I showed that I really like a minimalist style. What do you think of when you think of a minimalist style or design? Think about that. What do you think about Sydney, I see you leaving some comments. I really appreciate that. I'm going to have to check when I'm parked. I can't go through all the comments right now. Sydney, the question was, what do you think about, or what comes to mind when you think about minimalist style or design? We got about 15 or so minutes left in the live stream here, guys. So, what comes to mind, in my opinion, is cleanliness, simplicity. Oh, I'm talking about a car set. Oh, I'm talking in general, Sydney. You know, what comes to mind when you think of simplicity or design? Let's think about, a car. A very nice, clean car. A Tesla, BMW, clean lines. What do you think about modern furniture design? Houses, very clean, very minimalist design. We think of cleanliness, right? We think of simplicity, okay? Think about Apple products. When they created the packaging for Apple products, Steve Jobs insisted on an all-white packaging, and he wanted all packaging to be uniform across every single product. And you see that today with, I think we just lost the stream here, guys. Let me, okay, we're back. I think we lost the stream there for a second. But talking about Apple design simplicity, yeah, exactly. Sydney's touching on a couple of points here. Clean windows, clean inside, no private stuff around, and good smelling. And Sydney, speaking of the private stuff, I think, they are referring to personal effects. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Yeah, you don't want a lot of personal effects, just random stuff hanging around your car. Exactly. But the reason that I like simplicity in the car is because it conveys that. It conveys cleanliness. It conveys that you have everything together, everything's uniform, and it looks very professional. Imagine you entered a car with a lot of debris, personal effects, whatever it may be. You have, stuff all over. It's not going to look as clean. It's not going to look as uniform. Okay, so that's why I feel like you shouldn't have any tip signage or 5-star signage on the headrests. I think it looks a little bit out of place and detracts from that passenger experience. And maybe most of all, it doesn't look as professional, in my opinion. Of course, if you guys have used tip signage or headrest covers, and I know they're somewhat popular, let me know. Let me know if you've had success with it, or if you've used signage and then taken it off, if you've seen any difference in ratings or tips. All right, guys, just a few more points to talk about here. Let's talk about ratings changes. We're going to touch more on luck and how much luck plays into the Uber and Lyft platform. We didn't really touch on that in the last live stream here. You know what? I'm sorry. Those are our secondary points here. The last main point we're going to talk about is what to do with items left behind in your car, okay? I have had plenty of items left behind in my car, okay? Cell phones, wallets, hats, what else? Earrings, yeah. So here's what to do with items left behind in your car, all right? Tip number one, and I've talked about this in another video, guys. Listen up right here. Don't go. Big tip, guys. Always check the back seat after every single ride. Okay, we mentioned in the accessories video, I have this, a small LED flashlight for checking the back seat. Okay, if you want something more discreet, maybe you don't want to turn on all the lights in the cabin, if you just want to spot check, get a small LED flashlight. It costs nothing. If a passenger drops something, you can give them that instead of distracting possibly other drivers in traffic throwing on the interior lights. Always check the back seat after every ride. It will save you massive headaches if you don't check the back seat, okay? Real life example that I had, all right? I did a very, very long ride with some passengers, I think 40 minutes. I don't know if that's very, very long, but 40-minute ride with two guys. This was a while ago, 6 months or so. And we went, I think, 40 minutes north of the city, okay? And that's taking me out of my main, hub for demand, okay? So after dropping them off in a pretty rural but nice neighborhood, I ended the trip and I drove a half a block down to a stop sign at the intersection at the main road. At that point, while I'm pulled over, I can check my back seat, all right? I check the back, and under my floor mat, I see one of their cell phones, all right? The reason you want to check immediately is before I even go anywhere, save yourself the hassle of having to drive back to drop off an item left behind. You have two options. Two options if a passenger leaves something behind, okay? Return it immediately, or turn it into a green light Uber help facility, okay? If you don't have a green light help facility, you're stuck with that item. You're gonna go into your trip history. You're gonna mark, I had an issue with this trip, and you're gonna mark item left behind, okay? And then Uber is going to contact the passenger. You are going to authorize that it's okay for Uber to give the passenger your phone number, and then the passenger is gonna reach out to you, and then you guys are gonna have to coordinate together how you're gonna get this item back. The passenger can come to you. You could probably mail it to the passenger if you feel comfortable doing that, okay? Something to not do. Do not charge the passenger for you to return the item. I have heard this strategy. Don't do it. You can be deactivated for doing that. Do not charge the passenger for you to come back and deliver the lost item, okay? And it may seem like a smart thing to do because you're driving dead miles. Well, you should have checked the back seat. After every ride, if you check the back seat, if you glance back there, you have no excuse. You'll see every lost item. Guys, I have seen, I have returned at least 5 to 10 cell phones as a passenger was walking out. Guys, if you're doing the bar crowd, if you're doing the bar rush, these passengers have been drinking. They are dropping things, guys. A passenger got in last night and dropped everything out of her purse, all right? They're gonna drop stuff. You gotta check the back seat. And what's easier? Oh, hey, don't forget this, you left your phone, or you get back to your place or your main hub and you look back there and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a cell phone back there. Or a passenger says, I think someone left a phone back here. Guys, headache. Huge headache if that happens, all right? So always check the back seat. I have had phones, hats. Now, let's talk about if it's a less expensive item. What if it's not a phone? All right, what if it's just a hat? All right, what if it's something, a half an earring, like one side of an earring? That case, maybe you don't necessarily have to mark it as a lost item. I would, all right, I would, but the passenger is probably not gonna care if it's a smaller item. But for your sake, you may want to still mark that. That's really your call, because again, what's gonna happen is Uber's gonna contact the passenger, they're gonna say, hey, you left something. Now, when you do that, by the way, you have to take a picture of the lost item, or I believe they want you to. Maybe you don't have to. Leave a description, and that's that. Okay, that's for Uber. What about Lyft? Lyft, guys, is a lot harder. For Lyft, Lyft does not have green light help locations, at least not in the majority of markets. Lyft does have a few offices, but they are just that. They're offices, they're not really driver help centers. Nashville has one. I'm not sure what, obviously the hub, you know, corporate in San Francisco, but they're not really meant for lost and found for drivers. So by checking the back seat, save yourself the headache, okay? If someone leaves something behind on Lyft, you have to go into their dashboard, okay? You have to fill out a lost form after clicking through who knows how many websites, because you can't just easily find it, all right? A lot easier to check the back seat. So guys, as we wrap up here, your driver Mike here, I appreciate you joining the live stream. If you're new to the channel, this channel is dedicated to the rideshare space, helping drivers maximize their profits and ratings. If you're a driver, if you're a passenger, if you're someone just interested in the rideshare space, consider subscribing. And leave a like if you get value from this live stream. We've been doing more and more live streams so we can have a discussion back and forth, have that open dialogue so we can all learn something. So guys, with that, if you have any final questions, let me know. Leave a comment. If you're watching in the rebroadcast, I appreciate you joining and watching the rebroadcast. Leave a comment below if you are watching and want to see anything else live streamed or talked about. But that is all for this.